show my name. OddsJam Q&A, because we got so many questions the first time. Got a lot of questions for the next one. So figured we would do this again. Probably going to do this once or twice a week, put out an email for people to ask questions, stuff like that. So I could just answer them on a live stream instead of having to go back and forth with someone trying to get into contact via email or the chat system or whatever. So let me share my screen and just get started. So first question, can you tell me your base unit amount? You say you started with 25 a unit. Does this mean that's what you bet when the multiplier says 1% of your bankroll? Or were you betting 25 on all positive EV bets? So no, this is just like per one unit. So it would be the 1% of my bankroll was 25 a unit. I ended up upping that one to 50 and then upping it again to 100. But that's how that works. And in terms of unit sizing, I just use the Kelly criterion method. So looking at the positive EV page, just clicking the calculator. We do have a lot of questions about this, and I mentioned this last time. For anything that is telling me to bet, and let me zoom in actually, telling me to bet below half a unit, I'll just round up. So like for this one, I would just round this up to half a unit, which for me is $50. That's kind of how that works with how the new EV percent stuff is calculated. So that one's good. Next one. Do you have any idea if there are particular markets that don't do well with the EV bets for whatever reason? I don't know for sure. All I know is that the formula itself shows I don't know the formula itself that displays the bets on the recommended filter. I don't know like the back testing and stuff that went behind that. All I know is that it's the recommended filters are only showing sharp markets that are like that are an outlier across a bunch of different books, kind of like what we talk about in positive EV best practices, and then also only showing tight markets. So like we see here, the highest market width we see is 23, and that's at like a bet that's minus 165 odds. So I don't know specifically what markets were taken out or if there are specific markets that don't do well, anything like that. I just know that the formula itself, it only shows plays that are outliers and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it works. So let me mark this one as green. And the next one, do you literally take every positive EV bet that shows up on the recommended filters? Yeah, every single one of these bets on here would be good to go. Obviously, I haven't actually locked in every single one of these just because I've been doing stuff. But theoretically, all of these should be taken. The only time I won't is if I eventually run out of the funds I have in the sports books. So like if I have a lot of money in FanDuel and then I take a lot of positive EV bets, I won't deposit more money just to get more stuff in. I'll just kind of let that ride. But theoretically, all of these would be profitable and should be taken. I've taken a couple locked in this morning before I started work. But yeah, they all should be taken. Next question. I've been doing James positive EV bets. Sorry, getting a phone call. In 100 bet sample size, down 32% ROI. So one thing that wasn't confirmed here was whether these bets were placed using the recommended filters. If not, that is where I would start. I would start using the recommended filters. If you have been, then that's terrible luck. What I will say is I think this is now week 3 of the recommended filters being live. Week 1 went really well. So depending when you start, last week didn't go so well, was down 550. This week I was up a decent amount, but I had a rougher day yesterday. That was actually from stuff that wasn't on the recommended filters. I took some nerfy bets that didn't hit. So for the recommended filters specifically, better this week. But if you started last week, then I get it, because I also had a rough week last week. But overall, still in the green. So yeah, that would be my question, is if you're using the recommended filters. If not, then I'll definitely start with that. Is there any concern that everyone using the same filters, OddsJam users will move lines very quickly? No, I mean, to be honest with you, you would need a significantly large amount of people to actually go in and move a line if it's just from people betting. And the lines move even if we're not hitting them specifically, even if like the OddsJam users aren't hitting them. Because if there's one book that's mispriced they're going to want to change that, especially if like they can be arbed and they're the one that's wrong. So there's really no concern about that. This one has a lot of questions. I can't answer the majority of them. They're also honestly asking the same exact thing. This one I can't answer what sports books are considered sharp. The main three, Pinnacle, Bet Online, and Bookmaker. And then these four are basically just asking into more details about the recommended filters. Can you go into detail about how the new no big odds are calculated, such as what books are weighted, how and what sports book is referred? I don't have that. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the formula that goes behind it. I just know that it's taken a weighted average of a bunch of different books, not just Pinnacle and not just Bookmaker, not just Bet Online. It's a weighted average across other sharp books. Can you go give some details in the historical analysis of the positive EV page describing which books are good at which sports? No, I can't. I don't have that information. All I know is that it was thousands and thousands and thousands of bets that were back tested that went into that. The 250 recommended filter best seems to be the go-to minimum. What is the percent chance of profit from flat betting this 250 sample size based on your historical data? I mean, I don't want to give like a percent chance or anything like that. Like I try to stay away from like, oh, this will never happen or anything like that. I would just say it's statistically unlikely to be in the negative after that amount of money bet on the recommended filters. And I would probably specifically recommend specifically against flat betting. I would use the Kelly method over flat betting because it gives weight to bets that are more likely to occur and bets that are higher EV. So I wouldn't necessarily base this from flat betting. Can you give us additional details on what the filters are? Again, no, unfortunately I cannot because I don't know. All I know is that, I mean, at a high level, it's only providing opportunities, like I said, that are within a certain number of market width. Like all of these are below 25. And it's only providing opportunities that actually are outliers to the sharp books. So like this random yes run first inning, like every other book has this for minus money except for BetMGM, like minus 110, minus 110. Two sharp books, minus 106, minus 112. Like this is an outlier. That's the most important thing regarding the filters. I'm not sure what weight percentage is given to what books, and I'm not sure if any markets specifically are taken out or anything like that. I just know that it's only providing outliers. So a lot of really in-depth questions in that one, unfortunately, that I just can't answer. Same thing with this one. And these four are basically just asking, like, even with the recommended filters on, should I bet blank? And the answer to all of these is yes, with the recommended filters on. Like even on the recommended filters, should I aim to really focus on profitable plays? Is there a certain market width that I should aim to place under to get the best ones? For example, only wagers below 20. No, anything on the recommended filters should be placed, regardless, even if it's a higher market width, because the guess here is that even these bets with higher market width, like 23, it's still going to be a low hold percentage because of the odds. So really, market width is just telling us the hold on the market and how much juice is being charged. So even if this one like 23, the odds are minus 165. So it's going to have a lower juice than ones that might have lower market width. And I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let me go to where am I looking for? VIG calculator. Come on. VIG calculator. So standard minus 110 each way, which is 20 cents in market width, which is considered a tight market. VIG percentage of 4.75%. So if we look at this one that has 23 cents in market width plus 160 minus 183, plus 160 minus 183 has a low, even though it has higher market width, it has a lower VIG percentage. So to answer this question, no, you should not only focus on ones under 20. You should focus on anything that's on the recommended filters on. Next question. Even with the recommended filters on, is there a certain win percentage I should be targeting? No, you should be placing anything on the recommended filters because the goal isn't to win the highest percent of your bets. The goal is to profit. So for this bet, I bet this one. I did not beat the closing line at all. I got them at like plus 110. So that was an L. But like the Reds only have a 42% chance of of winning, according to the IGM perfect line. But the odds that we're betting it on doesn't need to win at that percentage in order to be profitable. So the goal of positive EV betting isn't to win the highest percent of your bets. It's to make money. And even if you're betting on plays that are plus 140, at those odds, they have a higher likelihood chance of occurring than what we believe the true line to be. So they're still profitable. So again, no. Is it better to place more of the recommended filters that are favorites? No, it's not, because you have to win a higher percentage of your bets in order to be profitable. Is it still worth taking recommended filters off and typing in market width of 25 and checking for outliers on our own? I mean, you can. I would recommend against it. The whole point of the recommended filters is to not have to do that. If you want to, obviously I can't stop you, but I would heavily recommend using the recommended filters. And if you end up taking them off, then I would on your own track which bets were recommended filters and which bets were not. So at least you can see the data in front of you. And that is that. So when will the Player Prop app be released for Android? I don't have the specifics on that one. I know it's being worked on, but I don't have the specifics. Where can we purchase odds jam gear like the coffee cup and hats? So we don't have like a public merch store or anything like that. They were just ordered just for the team. But I can certainly let the OddsJam overlords know that merch is being requested. All right. Do you think, actually, this one has been answered, so let me mark it green. Do you think you are less likely to beat CLV if you are betting days ahead of the event? I found I don't do well betting even 24 hours in advance, but not sure if my sample size is small enough or if I should really avoid bets. So I haven't personally noticed beating the closing line more or less than if you're betting the bets earlier. I kind of butchered that phrasing, but I have not noticed a correlation between beating the closing line less if you are betting early is a better way to phrase that. Now, I think the swings are more dramatic. Like you'll have situations like I bet the Reds money line and the under, and like aggressively didn't beat the closing line on those. But then you'll have the opposite thing happen. Like I have a pending bet that I bet for the NFL. Let me find it. That I bet it at like these all, and should be one more. So these two are the ones these two are the ones that I'm talking about. So like I got them at minus 110. Now they're all the way at minus 139. Now these are obviously weeks away, so it could change back. It could change another way. And like same thing with like these Denver Broncos one. I actually bet these when they weren't positive EV at the time. You can watch the videos because I knew that money was coming in on the Broncos and that it would end up beating the closing line. So I would say the swings are more dramatic. Like you'll have stuff happen like this where you like aggressively don't beat it, but then you'll have the opposite happen where you aggressively do beat it. So I haven't noticed any correlation to being more or less likely. So what can we expect from the recommended filters for football season? No idea. I haven't used the recommended filters for football season, so I don't know what it's going to be like. We'll just have to see. I mean, in baseball, it seems like player strikeouts are much better bet than player bases. Yes, that I could confirm just from my own experience using OddsJam, and I had more success on player strikeouts, but no idea what it's going to be like for football. Any plans to expand sports covered through recommended filters? So soccer's on here. I have them filtered out because I was looking at stuff like for videos and stuff, but there is soccer on here. So as soon as this refreshes, if it ever wants to, like soccer. So not sure if you like have them filtered out, whoever submitted this question, but soccer's on there. But to answer the question, like in terms of expanding, it only makes sense to expand stuff that is profitable. So like we don't want to expand just for the sake of expanding if the bets aren't profitable. So I would say like the formula used for the EV percent and for the recommended filters is like constantly evolving, constantly updating. So it's possible that plays that are not currently showing up on the recommended filters will over the course of time, but we wouldn't just expand it just for the sake of expanding it. It would need to be profitable. Where are we? Sales pitch for the Discord. I'm in expert picks already, but I'm going to have my friends tune in so I can get them to join in on my referral. Personally, I don't have a ton to sell, so I can go through the profit tracking. So there's been like a couple horrific days that has kind of ruined the total profits. Like right now, we're at minus 0.4 units. But like, so if we look at, like when I was first starting off, my unit sizing was all out of whack. Like we see 3, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5. This is like all the same day. Like my unit sizing was all out of whack as I was getting acclimated. And then we had like 2 just absolutely brutal days, which happened to coincide with days I was betting significantly more units than I should have. So like if we look at 721, I think through 723, or maybe it was 722. Come on. Down 28 units. And then maybe that actually does coincide with 723. I can't remember. But like we had like a horrible, horrible stretch. Yeah, down 28 units. So outside of that, if you just take out those days, we're up. And then we also had a horrible stretch where we lost a ton of bets on, it was a Saturday, the 6th. It's like this day right here, down 10 units. It's like that's 38 units lost in like 4 days. If you take that out, it's actually been pretty good. And we're profitable since this day, since that 8-6 amount, which has been like 3 weeks or so. We're up like 6 units since then. And I would say the plays have gone down. Like we're not playing as much, mostly me. Cause like, I was still getting used to everything. And I definitely had some growing pains, but we're playing less, but we've been more successful. So you see a lot more green. I mean, we had a rough day. I guess this was the 18th, a rough day, down 6 units. But you generally see more green than red aside from like these horrible stretches. So Alex is doing really well, up 35 units. I'm still struggling from my start. Like if you take out, like if you just filter me specifically. So like if I create a filtered view, where are we? Create new filter view, filter specifically for me. Like the first days when I was still kind of getting acclimated, like those up until the 23rd, down like 33 units. So like horrible start from then. It's been fine since. And of course, like the 6th, I think I was down like majority of the lot, like I was down 4. So like outside of that, it hasn't been bad, but like the horrible start just makes everything look bad. So long story short, if you join now, you would have been profitable if you had joined after the 23rd. Like if we look at the 24th on, even including that bad stretch of like down 10, we are up close to 10 units. So it's been about a month up 8 units, even with that like horrible stretch on the 6th. So if you join now, I'm confident you'll be profitable. There was just terrible growing pains at the beginning. So not the best sales pitch in the world, admittedly, but that is the sales pitch for the Discord. Okay. I used to be able to, actually, I'm going to get a drink of water because my mouth is dry. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. I used to be able to match the OddsJam Novig odds by taking Pinnacle line, blah, blah, blah. Did you guys change your sharp book? Is there some sort of market weighting occurring now? Yes. We've talked about this a ton in a lot of videos. We're taking a weighted average now is what it is. So that's why the percents look different. It's not just the Pinnacle line. It's Pinnacle, it's Bet Online, it's other sharp books that we're taking into account. So yes, we've talked about that a ton, but we are now taking a weighted average. Okay. On the last live stream, you explained why you don't use Pinnacle anymore for the recommended filters since the EV percentages are lower now. I don't know what happened to the text. Since the EV percentages are lower now, I was thinking about using a scaling wage amount when betting. Like for example, like 40 to 50, 20 bucks, whatever. That's not a terrible idea. Like having your unit size be based on the percent chance of the bet hitting. My only rebuttal to that is if you're only doing that based on percent chance of occurring, you are not taking advantage of plays that are higher positive expected value. So like this bet, EV just below 3%, telling you it's like it's only a 42% chance of hitting, but it's like still telling me to bet 0.5% of my bankroll because it's a higher EV. So it's not a horrible idea, but I would still recommend against it solely because of that. Now, if you're betting on a play down here and it's telling you like to bet 0.09, then I could see the value or in the logic of doing that. But I would only do it for examples where it's telling you to bet like below 0.5%, essentially. So last one, yeah. Basically, another one, like over the past couple of weeks, I've noticed a dip in good positive EV bets. Used to get 8%. Now I'll get 3 to 4. Why is this? Our sportsbook's getting sharper. Again, I don't know what's happening here, but did Ajahn have an update? Yeah. You might have missed like Alex and I talk about it over the past 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks, taking the weighted average now. So no longer just looking at Pinnacle, looking at the holistic betting market to come up with these percentages, which is why you're seeing a difference. So, and that's why also we opened up the percents to be below 1%, which is used to be the lowest it went to, is because now even the lower percent ones are still a value when you compare it to a bunch of other books. So that's why we're showing the lower percentages. That's going to be it. Any questions that were left off, send me an email, matthew@ajjam.com. Any questions that you want answered, but that's it. So thanks you guys for tuning in. Any feedback you have for me, good, bad, positive, negative, whatever, neutral is fine. And thanks for watching. So that's going to be it, and have a good one.